Good afternoon, everybody. First of all, to the Tulane player, Devin Walker, thoughts and prayers go out to him and his family and the team and everybody as they're dealing with that tragedy and what's going on in their lives right now. And I know it must be remarkably difficult for everybody. On a personal note, my brother-in-law Greg and my sister Kathy are here from Columbus, Ohio, so be nice to me today. My sister's my hero, and I love her very much. Let me get into injuries here real quick. Injury update, Jack Minor's still questionable for this game, and put to the list, Elvis Fisher will be out indefinitely. We'll see when we're really not projecting when he's going to be back. Offensive, the adjustments a little bit have been this. Offensive, I thought I'd get asked this anyway. Justin Britt is moved during the game from right tackle to left tackle, and this was all planned. All these decisions were made a week ago, and we practiced a little bit just in case, like the worst case scenario came up, and it happened to come up. So at least we practiced it. So Justin Britt went from right tackle to left tackle during the game. Evan Bain, started at left guard and played as a true freshman and did a really good job. Brad McNulty came in when Elvis went down, moved him to center the plan was in place as a redshirt freshman also, and I thought he did a very good job. Max Copeland, who started for the first time, he stayed at that one spot. And then Mitch Morris, who was at center, moved out to right tackle, who got work periodically through camp in case like the worst case scenario would come up. And that's the way we're going to line up going into this game. Just let you know that's the way that's set up for this game. As far as linebackers concerned, I forgot to mention Xavier Gooden. Xavier Gooden is out this week. For our will linebacker, Donovan Bonner will line up there. He was a backup Mike before that. And then we moved Contrell Brothers from Sam, I think, to backup Mike. And then Marcus Golden is a good young player that we're going to start working with him, too. So we'll get him back going. So that's kind of an update where we go there. After that, I will not comment, other than my radio show tonight, I will not comment on injuries anymore throughout the week. Or any updates in any way. Arizona State's a very good football team. They've started out great. They're playing really, really well. It's a new coaching staff and just a whole new attitude there. And generally, if you get a couple wins under your belt, there's a whole new confidence level that goes with that too. But they're playing exceptionally well. They're playing very good defense. Offensively, they run a spread offense with their version, of play action passes and do a really, really good job. Kelly, their quarterback, is very impressive. They also play Eubank, another quarterback. They'll play about 25% of the time. He gets a little more, as we can look now as we analyze, he's a little bit more in the red zone at those times. And for the most part, they got good players around. Their tight end's a great player. He's leading their team, and very, very impressive football team to watch. And so we're expecting a very good team to come in here. As we do in any game, win or lose, we do the same thing. We analyze, we go back. These are things we did good. These are things we did bad. These are things that position players have to make improvement and get better. Position groups do, offense does, defense does, all the things. So what happened yesterday is no different than any other Sunday since we've ever been here. It's since the first year we got here, and our players embrace the consistency and the plan in place in order to improve and become a better football team. You'd like to have a football team that gets better each and every game. You're a lot better team in the beginning of October and much better in the beginning of November. Does it happen like that? No, it doesn't happen always like that. Sometimes it does. Hopefully we can be a team that can be like that, and we're certainly working very hard to do so. I'd also like to thank our fans. I've had many phone calls from friends all over the country and text messages about the zoo and what that message sent around the country about Mizzou football and Columbia, Missouri, and the state of Missouri and everything. And it was apparently what a remarkable presentation that our fans put on, and I'm very, very appreciative of that.
Even though you weren't getting the yards gained with your rushing, especially in the first half, you stayed with it. How did that have an effect on the passing game?
Well, we ran for 188 yards, okay? We had 86 negative yards. Now, if you look at the 86 yards, what you'll do is you'll find 56 of them were just totally self-inflicted on our part. Well, one was when we had the quarterback center exchange, the first series, it rolled all the way back to like the 4-yard line. You add that up with a quarterback-running back exchange, and that's just Mizzou beating Mizzou on there, okay? And the loss that we took on that, and we lost the football. As you remember, we started, I think it was 2nd and 4, 2nd and 6 on the 9-yard line going in. And then the other one was we took the intentional grounding, okay? And that's 56 yards of the 86 right there. So there's the 30 other yards the rest of the game. And the entire, those things also happened in the first 17 minutes of the game. Obviously, we didn't start very good. So we're about 50-50 run pass. I think that, you know, we're going to mix up and, you know, we're going to do what we do. I felt comfortable with what we did, why we did it, and we just got to execute better.
You talk about some of the offensive linemen, but after you made that switch, especially McNulty, I mean, it seemed the snaps were a little bit of an issue. Obviously, at the start of the game, were you happy with how he handled it?
Well, I thought he did really well. I mean, you're talking about a redshirt freshman coming in an environment like that. Maybe it was good. He didn't know he was going to play. So maybe that was a plus. But honestly, he came in with a tremendous amount of poise, played well. And Mitch went out to tackle and really did a good job out there for not getting a lot of work out there. Obviously, he couldn't get a lot of work out there and over the weeks. But I thought he did a really, really good job.
What is it about Mitch's skill set that gives him the ability to play out there as well?
Well, he's just an athlete. He's 6'5", 6'6". You know, he's 310 pounds. He can run. He's smart. So, but you also have to. This is what you have to do. Okay, you always have to sit there. You always in all our positions we do this. Okay, you know we've lost 5 of we're top 10 linemen. Okay, but what you do, you look at beginning of the week like today we did for tomorrow's practice and Tuesday. Okay, who will be the first tackle to go in? I don't care. We want the next best football. We got to put our best 5 offensive linemen on the field at one time, and so we'll have to work a guy at maybe a guard and a tackle and a center. And is this unusual? I've never, since 22 years of being head football coach, 35 years of head coach, has never happened. But, you know, no one cares, number one, and there's no excuses, number two. But what happens is it forces you to say, okay, who's your next best tackle? Well, Mitch Moore's our next best tackle. Okay, and that means if that happens, we get a tackle injury, he's going to go out, and then that's when we brought Brad in. And so we really do that. We do that really at every spot. Obviously, it's a little bit different now on offensive line just because of the problems we have.
What do you lose most when you have to do that? Just communication between guys that you're used to having one guy next to him now?
Well, you lose, first of all, you lose experience. I mean, from day one. I mean, that's the huge factor, when you expect 3 to 4 starters and aren't there. I think the continuity, a little bit, the communication, but they'll work together. We'll get better, and that's the encouraging thing there. I think it's also, you're asking a lot of young players to be thrown in the fires a lot quicker than what they ever thought they would be. But that's, duty calls. But I was real proud of how they competed, went against a very, very good defensive line, and really held up pretty good for the most part. And they battled, and they'll continue to get better and better.
Terry, I apologize. I didn't really understand what you said about Elvis at the start. Could you just elaborate on where he is from here?
Well, he's just out indefinitely right now, so we don't know how it's, indefinitely means we can't project week-wise. Maybe 4 or 5 weeks, I don't know. I don't want to give you a number because we don't have one.
Just his emotional state of mind?
Well, when you see that happens, that's real difficult for a coach, as it is difficult for his family, as it is difficult for his teammates and our fans to see a guy so dedicated and have that happen. And that was his good leg, okay? So he's got a strained MCL. And the good news is, he always remains and always maintains, a real good attitude. I mean, he gets hit in the mouth a little bit, and you could see him struggling with it. The next day you see him, he's going to have a smile on his face, and he's going to battle. And so the good news is he can get back, but it's a sprained ligament, and it just takes time to get healed, and depending on the difficulty of the sprain.
Seems like Georgia pretty consistently rushed 3 or 4 guys and back in the coverage. How do you feel you guys ran against that? And is that a look you expect to see more and more?
Every defense has their different fronts that they run. Everybody does a little bit different. They had a good scheme. They did things we expected them to do, and a very good defensive football team. And I thought, overall we did a lot of good things. Until the end. We made a couple critical errors that you're not going to win football games doing. But we had our struggles too. But you're gonna fight for yards. You're gonna fight for points against a team like that. They're not going to just lay them out there and give them to us. But it was a battle like I anticipated it.
You've talked over the years about guys taking
Well, you know what, and you were at a lot of camp this summer, and that was like he was all the time. So what we do is we decided to put him in more, play him more, and did that because it was he's earned it, So and he made some tough catches and tough yards, and they say he might not be big enough, it might not be fast enough or quick enough, but he's a really good football player, so he knows how to play football. And honestly, once you get to this point, you throw out numbers, who can play, and proud of him how he competes.
Is there more importance with, if you saw Georgia with some of the short kickoffs, and some teams obviously are going to take that approach with the two guys you choose to put in front of your deep return man and having John back as one of those guys this year?
Yeah, it's a possibility, and that's we remember the Oklahoma game, so the possibility of those kind of kicks take place all the time. We did it ourselves, we blooped a little bit and got some pretty good field position from 26, 27-yard line, and then they put a skilled player back there. Then we readjusted a little bit. So you still want to kick it in the end zone, and a little bit disappointed in that because I think we do it in practice more than we do it in games, and that's kind of hard for me to understand.
Gary, can you just sort of trace LaDavian's kind of maturing process from the time he got here, both physically and emotionally, to where he seems to be now?
Yeah, from Shreveport, Louisiana, and great kid. Players love him. Came in really skinny. He looks skinny now, but he's gained 25 pounds. So you can imagine how skinny he was when he got here. And he can run. When he got out there, there's not too many people who can catch him. And I think, you saw that he just ran away from everybody. He's great work ethic, and certainly he can make plays. That's why he's starting.
Coach, not having to fill in that left side, is it at least with Fisher out? Is it at least comforting to know that Britt had worked at that position last season?
Yeah, well, he started at the left side the whole time. In fact, I think he feels a little bit better there. He's had an adjustment too because he missed 20-some practices. And you just don't. And there's a great example. You just don't go out and start playing, and you got to go out and work at it and get back in sync a little bit. But certainly he's a guy that played the position, played it well.
Gary, if I recall correctly, EJ Gaines didn't get a verbal offer from you guys until that summer before his senior year in high school.
I'm not sure if that's true or not. Exactly when we offered him. So
Has his development surprised you guys at all?
he was first team All Big 12 last year as a sophomore, and the alert is to everybody out there. He's really good. He breaks up. I think he was one of the top, first or second in the nation last year, I think, in pass breakups. And he's just got the knack. He's good. He's gifted. He can recover and make plays. And you see him do it time after time after time. And you know what? That's what he practices. And I think I mentioned it before in here after one of our summer practices that that we go through every player on the team. And Coach Ford talks about his corners. This after every practice, we go to staff meeting. We'll talk about every player on the team. Cornell will start out with EJ because that's where he is on the depth on the board. And he never ever said he had a bad practice. Never seen the guy have a bad practice. He plays like he practices. It's no different. He doesn't take plays off, and it's a great visual aid and / role model for young players. If you want to be good, that's what you need to do. But that's just he's very gifted and talented.
What does it do for your defense to have Brad Madison healthy after the year you had last year?
Well, what it does to have Brad Madison healthy, that was a question, and it was obviously he's back. His quickness and coming off the corner. With Coney there and Michael Sam, Shane Ray, that really kind of helps us, put a lot of different players in a lot of different spots at the end position. And, he's quick. That move he does, he's good at. And, we started off so poorly on offense and lost all those yards on bad snaps and all the stuff we were going through. And we get the punt, didn't get it out there. We get a sack right away and negative yardage, and our defense really responded. Also, when our defense really responded. I thought our defense did a lot of good things in that game. It gave us some big plays that you can't, but held up against a really good offensive football team and really took it. Really competed with them well. And you give them 1 yard and a 4-yard drive at the end of the game. It's very difficult. So.
Would you like to see Oriel get more touches, or does he just kind of have to come along at his own pace?
Yeah, but a lot of times too, you'll call plays and he's covered. So we called more than got to him. So that will take care of itself. The thing I tell him about that is just have a good attitude. The ball will come to you. And we're talking about Dorial Green for the people in the back, if you're wondering. And that's, he's doing real well. He's getting better, and all those other things will take care of itself.
Gary, are teams paying more attention to him when he comes out on the
Oh, I don't think so. Not yet. No. I think that they're certainly aware of him, but I think I think he has to earn that. He has to earn that,
Now, in the past, have you guys,
which is good.
in the past, have you guys pretty consistently played a corner, one corner to the field side?
We've changed it every year. I mean, depending on if we can put it with the best receiver. We could put it if it's a wide. We try to keep him outside. We don't bring him inside. We sometimes play into the boundary all the time. Sometimes play to the field depending on where what our game plan, and we'll adjust accordingly. And Cornell, as he works with our corners, he makes them flip all the time anyway. So they're not. There's a comfort zone being on the wide side of the field versus the short side, so that if we make the switch, it isn't something like all of a sudden we have to start, getting him prepared for it. He does it quite often.
So is there something specifically about PJ's skill set that lends him to being over there?
Well, it just depends. It just depends a lot upon the scheme. It's more so about the scheme that we think where the ball's going to be thrown. What we do an analysis not only of players that catch balls, but really you can also look at every completion, and we put it on a graph for a whole field, and how many balls are thrown in this spot, and all the way around. And so, bottom line is we don't care who catches it. This is where they throw the ball. They throw 70% of their balls into the boundary, that type of thing. So we get the stats, and then we make adjustments from that.
Gary, was the plan to run Franklin as many times as he did on the keeper, or was that his decisions after?
A lot of those just the defense dictated it, or he scrambled, but he ran 20 times. So that was not. We're okay with that.
Can you talk about how his physicality elevates his level of play?
Well, he's just a big player, but I don't want him knocking people over. I don't want the physicality. If it's 4th and 1, okay, 3rd and 1, do what you got to do to get it. Other than that, I want you to get as many as you can and go down. And I think he's better than that. I want him to protect himself, because the team needs him to protect himself and how he runs. And I think he gets that. Now, when you got a great competitor like he is, you have to rein him in a little bit more. But we've talked about that. That's important.
Had a chance to look at the film. How would you assess his overall performance?
Well, I thought, obviously the interception was tough. You saw the Pittsburgh Steelers, Roethlisberger. You saw that game last night. It's, I talked to him about, he made a lot of great throws, missed a couple throws. You're not going to make them all. But he really was, he was doing a lot of good things. And let me tell you something. It is very difficult to play quarterback when, first of all, the snap problems that we've had, and also we had an inexperienced offensive line, and that's not easy, okay? And he would never say that. Nobody would say that. And we're all to live with it, and it doesn't matter either. But but I'm trying to tell you, a lack of continuity, affects that position, and that's something that we just have to work through.
How valuable has Bame's maturity become now that he's almost one of the more entrenched guys out there?
It's amazing. Evan, he played remarkably well in that environment. Acted and looked like he belonged out there. There was no deer in the headlights. There was no. He just was out there competing, in the arena, and it's probably his background a little bit, his maturity, certainly maturity, maybe background being I've seen very few real good wrestlers that have not become great players. If you get a good wrestler, they generally are really good football players, because they're in an individual sport and they're competitive, and you throw them into football and they can play at a high level. And he's certainly very, very pleased that he's here, number one. And number two is he's competing hard. And is he perfect? No, but he's battles, man. He gets out there and competes, and he'll be a great player.
Gary, you've been pretty consistent whether the fake works or not. You kind of give the same answer that you're smart if it works and you're dumb if it doesn't. Do you know kind of going into a game that this is a team that's kind of susceptible to it, or just the situation of the game?
We analyze during the week. We have guys in charge of Coach Hill's punt team, and what he'll do is he'll do study on it, and he'll look every single week for fakes on punt, field goal, or certainly in those areas. We'll look for fakes. And we look for teams that are vulnerable. And this, I'm just telling you in general, that's what we do. And so if we feel a team has a fake and we think it's a good percentage, then we discuss it on Thursday when and where we would do it, the amount of yards we think it would get, and then I ultimately make the call. And you're right. I would suggest probably 80% of the time since I've been a head coach, they've worked. And and those that worked, it was a good call. And those that didn't work, they're not a good call. And I take responsibility for that. I made that call. Well, they were in trouble running the football, and they had more success. At the end of the half, they finally moved the ball. At the end of the half, throwing the ball, just going down throwing the football. And I think that's what they did. I think they just leaned more on the pass. They said they're stopping the run. We're containing the run. We're not stopping the run. We're containing the run. And I think that's really kind of what happened. And they leaned on their quarterback, good player, and did some really good things. And you look back at a game like that. There's a lot of things that happened. We had three times inside the 30 with 1st and 10, and we come away with 3 points. And you look at Arizona State, 3 times in the 30, they came with points every single time. You turn the ball over, get the ball on the 1 yard line, 4 yard line. There's certain things that you do that you have to do to win, and there's certain things you do that are going to increase your chances of losing. Okay, and generally, 2 close teams play, and that's what it was. The team that makes the fewest mistakes is probably going to win, and I'm disappointed certainly, but you have to analyze like we do, and get better, and you can't make mistakes like that hardly in any game and win. It's not going to happen. If we'd got the ball in the 1 and 4 yard last 2 drives, we probably would have won. So, and not taking anything away from them, they're a great football team. Mark does a great job with them.
Gary, of course, you were disappointed in Sheldon's remarks last week, but have you liked what you've seen of them since? There was quite a moving picture of them apologizing to Coach Brick after the game, and I just don't know if you talked.
Well, certainly that was not orchestrated by us either. And I found out about it this morning. Chad sent me an email, or one of my friends sent me something online, and so it wasn't something I went up and said, make sure you do this after the game. And so he did that, and I think people make mistakes, and get second chances, and that's all part of maturing. But I think that was a good statement on his part in his own way.
How important is it, those 2 long passes for touchdowns? Team, the running game's maybe not working as well. Does that lift their spirits, the offense?
Well, the momentum plays. I mean, anytime you make a big play on offense or defense, or momentum plays, and momentum is huge in any sport, but certainly football in our stadium and the stands and everything else. So, again, we did a lot of good things, but again, because real good football teams, two are playing each other. You got to keep from critical mistakes, because eventually those will take their toll. Well, first of all, I don't remember a helmet coming off a quarterback ever. They were kind of in a scrum. I don't know how it got off. I'm sure our players didn't take it off, and I'm sure he didn't take it off. So it just happened. So it's critical, though, because what you have is you got, obviously the helmet's getting ripped off in a piles, and we have, all of a sudden you're putting your backup quarterback in. So, and they run snapped all the time. It wasn't, one of the things the NCAA, when they did this, because a lot of players in college football would wear their chin strap loose. And so if it popped off, they didn't really care. They put it back on. And one of the reasons they changed that, they just, for many reasons, certainly for safety too. So one of the reasons they did that was they said that people just put their chin strap much tighter, it's going to stay on. Well, every single time his chin strap was snapped off. So it didn't just slide off. So I don't know what to say. No, not really. I mean, we address officials like we normally do. They do a good job. They do a real good job of trying to get it right. So we just question it. So.
Do you think that because James is kind of physical style quarterback and runs the ball, physical, do you think that the referees don't really protect him as much?
Oh no, they're not going to do that. Those are referees do. They want to do a really good job. They want to get it right, and they want to protect everybody. So I don't question that at all.
Even before the situation with Elvis and the need to move folks around, I've been talking with Max about the fact that these guys need to know what the other 4 linemen are doing on any given play.
Yeah.
It's part of the choreography of what's going on there. And talking with him about that and hearing you, how difficult is that for these guys? And is it a sign that maybe, and it's a little counterintuitive for folks that maybe don't know the game that well, it sounds like it's a pretty intelligent bunch of linemen that you got on this.
Well, they'll always have to be, though. I can think of a few that haven't been, but we won't go there. I think the continuity that you have to have offensive line in terms of communicating is huge. There's so many things that happen. As I mentioned before, it's so difficult to play. Defenses are so much more multiple and more complex than they've ever been. Certainly, the quarterback has to know every area of it. But you know, it's just very, very difficult. And you suffer a little bit when you bring people in and out, yeah, a little bit, but that doesn't really matter. I mean, there's no asterisks, you know. Bottom line is, you know, we got some good kids. They're going to work hard. They're going to get better. The good news is when you're young, you'll get better, and they got a great attitude, and we'll work through it. Okay, thank you. Appreciate it.